About 3 months ago, I participated in the Swiss National Powerlifting Championships 2023, and it was a huge success. I hit new personal records, I placed 6th in my category, and it was just overall a very interesting and unique experience. But why did I sign up for this? How did I prepare for it? How did it go on competition day? Stay tuned. Let's start with the basics first. A powerlifting meet or a powerlifting competition is an event where you do 3 exercises: squat, bench press and deadlift. For each exercise you get 3 attempts, and the goal is to lift as much weight as you possibly can on each of the 3 lifts. Then the best attempts from each exercise are counted together to then get your total. And to make things fair and comparable, the event is divided into different categories, for example men and women, or the different ages are in different categories. And then there's also different weight classes within each category. As I mentioned in the beginning, the meet I signed up for was actually the Swiss Powerlifting Championships, and I enrolled in the women's open category in the weight class 67.5 to 75 kilograms. There were essentially 2 reasons why I picked this particular powerlifting meet. The first is that they didn't require you to be in a powerlifting club or in a powerlifting federation, which I am not, so it's basically open to anyone. And the second reason was that they also didn't require you to have any minimum weights that you need to lift. So as someone who's just doing this for the first time, this was also a huge plus. But knowing which meet I signed up for still doesn't explain why I signed up for it in the first place. Here again, the reasons are quite simple. First, at the time when I signed up, I wasn't particularly happy with my training and my progress. And I figured that by signing up for a powerlifting meet, that would give me some focus and directionality again in my training. Plus, it was a workout style that I had not done before, and I'm all here for trying new things. On top of that, participating in a powerlifting competition has been on my bucket list for a long time now. And I reckon that there's no ideal time to compete in a powerlifting event, or any such event for that matter, because you'll always find excuses why now is not the right time. Either you're too busy at work, you have too much other things going on, you're too stressed, don't have the numbers yet, yada yada yada. And that will just lead to you not signing up for it at all. But coincidentally, a good friend of mine had at that time just competed in her first Olympic weightlifting competition after only a few months of training. That really inspired me and told me, hey, actually, you should really just do it. There's nothing holding you back. There's no limitations on their end. So, just fucking do it. And yeah, that's what I did. And I have to admit, the signing up for the competition was actually the hardest part. And compared to that, the entire preparation and the competition itself were a piece of cake. Speaking of, so how did I then prepare for this? From the time I signed up to the actual competition day, I had around 3 months, which is not an awful lot of time, but especially for a first meet, there should be enough time for a solid preparation. In terms of workouts, beforehand, my training was more or less solely focused on building muscle, so it was heavily bodybuilding focused, and that also meant that I now had to shift my workouts more or less completely to prepare specifically for powerlifting. The way my powerlifting workouts worked were that I went to the gym 4 times a week. On day 1, I would do heavy squats. On day 2, I did heavy bench press. On day 3, I did heavy deadlifts. And on day 4, I did both squats and bench press, but with a lower weight, so medium rep range. So in total, that means I did squats twice a week, I did bench press twice a week, and I did deadlifts once a week. Since you don't train all muscle groups with only these 3 exercises, I also added accessory exercises to each workout so I would hit all muscle groups more or less equally. I added around 2 to 3 of those accessory exercises, making it around 4 exercises in total for each workout. And despite the low number of exercises in each workout, they actually took me between 60 to 70 minutes In terms of nutrition, I probably did what every powerlifter on YouTube advises against when you're preparing for your first meet, but I dieted to lose some weight. Now, this was probably, and with probably I mean almost definitely, not ideal for my strength. But I had wanted to lose a few kilos anyway, and this was just a nice opportunity to finally do so. I started at 77.7 kilograms, and over the course of 3 months, I dieted down to 72.8 kilograms on competition day. So that 5 kilo weight loss over a 3-month period roughly equals to half a kilogram per week, which is a moderate weight loss, I would say. During that time, I ate more or less the exact same things as I did previously. Everything was still allowed, but I reduced my sweets and fast food consumption to actually reach that deficit. The only other thing I changed was I paid more attention to my protein intake, and I aimed for around 2 grams per kilogram of body weight per day, which in my case equals to around 150 grams of protein each day. High protein consumption is not only important when you want to build muscle mass, but it's arguably even more important when you're losing weight to make sure that the weight you lose is actually fat and not muscle. Again, dieting while trying to gain strength and prepare for a powerlifting competition was probably not the most ideal thing I could do, but it was a balance of 2 different goals, as always in life. That's what I ended up doing, and I don't regret that I did it. The competition itself then was not quite what I expected, but then again it was my first powerlifting meet, so I didn't really know what to expect anyway. Since the meet wasn't in the town where I live, my husband and I decided that we would go there the day before, book a hotel room, so we would not be stressed on day off with getting there. I did this also because weigh-in was at 7:30 in the morning, and I didn't want to get up at like 4 or something and then be tired for the rest of the day, because how much and the quality of my sleep would play probably quite a big role in my performance during the competition. At the weigh-in at 7:30 in the morning, really not my time, you also had to give your rack height for the squat and the bench press, and you also had to give your openers, so the first attempt for all 3 lifts. Then there was quite a huge break because the actual competition only started at around 10 in the morning, and I used this time to have breakfast, warm up, chat with the other athletes, and so on. Just get prepared and experience everything. When the competition then started, they divided us into groups based on the category and the weight class that we were in. And the way things worked was the first group did their first attempts on the squat. Then the same group did all their second attempts, again on the squat. And then again, this first group did the third attempts on the squat. After they were done, the second group would do the exact same thing, complete all 3 attempts for squats. Then came the third group, and so on until all groups did all 3 attempts on the squat. And then this entire process repeated also for bench press and deadlift. So this meant that it actually took quite a while, and there was a lot of waiting involved as well. We finished sometime in the evening. And when they had all the numbers, they did some calculations and rankings. In the end, there was a small award ceremony where the first 3 people would get a prize and everyone else got a medal, I guess, as a souvenir. And then, that was it. So as you can see, I was there basically the entire day. We went there the day before. It started at 7:30 in the morning, lasted until the evening, and then eventually we were at home, I think, around 9 p.m. And with such a big time commitment, you may ask, was it worth it? In terms of my results, I would definitely say yes. So the strategy for picking my weights was, for the first attempt, I wanted to pick a weight that I knew that I could do for multiple reps, because I figured that I would probably be a bit nervous and I didn't want to fail the first lifts. Simple as that. For my second attempts, I went for my current 1 rep max, and for my third attempt, I opted to go above my current 1 rep max and shoot for a new PR. And this strategy seemed to have worked well, at least for squat and deadlift, because there I hit new personal records, which was very nice. For bench press, I overestimated myself a little bit and I ended up failing the lift, but still overall I would regard this as a very good result. Also, in the beginning I said that I placed 6th in my category, which, you know, it's still the case, I placed 6th, but there were also only 6 people in my category / weight class. So it meant that I also placed last. And I actually knew that this would happen from the very beginning. Already when I signed up, I knew that I would gonna place last. I knew that this would be the case based on results and the weights that were lifted in earlier competitions from previous years. I also talked to some of the athletes there and most of them had multiple years of experience. So yeah, it was just obvious that I would not stand a chance with my 3 months of preparation. And yet I signed up anyway. Why? As I mentioned previously, I just wanted to do it. And I didn't want to wait until I was ready because I knew that this ready would probably never come. So, you know, I thought to myself, fuck it, why not? Let's just do it. And I have to say it was really, really worth it. I'm really glad that I did it because it was an absolutely great and unique experience that I think you don't really get anywhere else. The atmosphere was fantastic. The athletes were very encouraging and supportive and everyone was cheering even though I deadlifted the same weight for my 3rd attempt that another person in my same weight class used as their warm-up weight. And since weightlifting and bodybuilding and powerlifting are sports you usually do on your own, it was a very nice change of scenery to also experience this very supportive and friendly community. So yeah, I would totally recommend doing it and I'm very glad that I did it. So with such a positive experience with good results, will I do it again this year? And I think the answer is no. But let me explain. This entire experience from the preparation to the actual competition day taught me several things. The first thing I learned was that I really dislike powerlifting style training. It's only a few exercises. I felt like I didn't really hit all muscles equally and neglected some smaller muscles like biceps and calves. It was very exhausting both physically and mentally, and the workouts just took too long, which is time that I currently don't have since I'm doing my PhD and I also have other obligations. Another thing I learned is that I cannot squat below parallel without back pain the next day. And I tried all different mobility drills and exercises to correct that, but it just didn't work. When I stop at parallel, everything's fine. Once I go below parallel, instant back pain. And to me, it's just not worth the risk of seriously injuring my back. So yeah, that's one exercise that I cannot do in the way you have to at a powerlifting meet. I also came to learn, or I guess I rediscovered, that I really hate deadlifts. I cannot stand that exercise at all. Don't know why, just absolutely hate it. And that's then the second exercise that goes out of the window. And with not liking or being unable to do 2 out of 3 exercises, yeah, there's just no way I'm gonna compete again in a full powerlifting competition. Yet, another thing I learned, which is on the more positive side, I discovered that I really like bench press. I googled around a bit and I saw that there's actually bench press only competitions. You literally only do bench press. So I might sign up for this one later this year. But we'll see. And that was it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any more questions or suggestions, leave them down in the comments below. I'm very happy to hear them. For now, I wish you a wonderful day. See you in the next one. Bye.